Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm John.
John, today we're going to talk about Twitter.
We hope.
We hope. we actually started by talking about creating a domain name for our website. We've got a business company of some kind, want a domain name. And so we did a search, we found that. And then we started talking about how do you get the same username on all the social networks that we might possibly use. And we decided to start with Twitter.
Right.
Did I get all those words right in there?
You're doing just fine.
Okay, so tell me about Twitter.
Well, Twitter is a very popular social networking website and social networking tool. I like it as a place to start because the ground rules are really simple and easy to understand.
What are the ground rules?
Well, you have an account, you'll make a post to the website, and your posts are limited to 140 characters.
Because?
Well, it actually comes to us from text messaging on phones. The old limit on those was 140 characters.
Okay.
So a character is any number, the numbers, the letters, and the spaces that you're putting in.
Okay.
So, and that, in addition to the difficulty some people have with typing, is why you start seeing a lot of shorthand creeping into things. So rather than the word C, you'll see the letter C. Okay. Rather than R, A-R-E, you'll see R, that sort of thing. So that sort of stuff creeps in there. But basically, it's a really, really low barrier entry into posting online. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to post my very first tweet about the oatmeal that I had for breakfast. And while that's not really interesting to anybody, at least you got your first one out there and you got your feet wet, and you can probably think of something better for your next one.
Okay, so if I, what's it called if I do a Twitter?
It's a tweet.
A tweet?
A tweet.
Okay.
And the nice thing is, and we'll talk about this more as we explore into the social media stuff and you know, trying to use these tweets and use these tools to drive traffic, is each individual tweet is actually, even though it's a very small one, each one is its own individual web page. And those will get indexed by Google. And so they can each drive traffic to your website. Just for the 140 characters.
But when I finish my oatmeal tomorrow morning, and I send out a tweet, who's going to read it?
Nobody at first.
Okay, so why would I do it then?
Well, you're going to do it at first to get used to doing it and get in the habit of doing it. An awful lot of this content creation stuff that we're going to do at first is about building habits.
Okay.
So we're going to get in the habit. Now, you're going to get bored posting about your email, or about your oatmeal, almost as fast as I get bored reading about it.
Okay. Almost.
Almost.
Okay.
So you're going to start trying to find more interesting things to tweet about. As you find more interesting things to tweet about, you're going to become more interesting to other people.
Okay.
The other thing you need to do with Twitter is start looking around for other people to follow and start seeing what they're tweeting about.
Okay.
And you can actually start having conversations.
So I choose to read the tweets that other people send.
Right.
How do I decide that?
Well, it ends up being something where you actually have to invest some time and start looking around. Okay. But there are, you'll want, basically you start paying attention to maybe there are big names in your industry that you want to see if they have Twitter accounts, and you look for them. The other thing you can do is do searches for specific terms. So if your business is widgets, you can do a search for widgets and see who's posting about widgets and start following them.
Okay.
What happens a lot of the time is when I follow you, you may say, hey, you'll get a message that says, hey, John has just started following you.
Okay.
And in most cases, then what you would do is you'll follow a link back to my feed and see what the sorts of things that I'm posting about. And if my posts look like they're interesting to you, you may follow me back.
I'll follow you back.
So it starts to build a symbiotic relationship.
Okay.
So get a handful of interesting posts out there, start following other people, and then you start building audience that way.
Okay.
The other thing you do is you start, when you find somebody interesting, you can go to their feed page, see who they follow. And we'll show you how to do that so that you can see if you find somebody interesting and they follow other people, odds are that those other people are also interesting.
Okay.
But interesting is, again, really subjective. What's interesting to you may not be interesting to me. So it's all about the quality of the people and their posts that you find and who they're connected to and who they're connected to and that sort of thing.
So there's a little bit of trial and error involved.
There's a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
The nice thing is it's, again, very low barrier to entry. It's not going to cost us much to get started.
What does it cost to get started?
Well, nothing. It's free. It's a little bit of time,
okay.
and that's about it. And again, 140 characters. It's not hard to be interesting or funny or insightful in 140 characters the way it is in 500 words. So it's a great place to get started.
So how do I get started?
Well, what we can do is we're going to go right to twitter.com. And the first thing you're going to need to do is have an email address. Now, if you don't have an email address yet, we have a little side video on setting yourself up for a Gmail account, which we've done for acmewichita.com.
And some of our viewers may not have an email address yet, if they're just getting into this.
Right. So assuming that but we're going to assume at this point that you have an email address that we can use for this.
Okay.
So right now we've come to Twitter, and there's a little box over here on the side. What we're seeing here in the middle is just a flow of some sample tweets that are going on.
Okay.
So Tom Felton says, nothing is more exciting than the unknown. So, great.
Okay.
Well, then to explore the unknown, let's give this a try. We'll click that button there. And I need to tell it my name.
So, John.
And my username was Acme Wichita.
And we found that on NameCheck in a previous video. That's why you want that username to be the same.
Right.
Okay.
And I created a password. And now I'm going to put in that email address. Acme, I'm spelling everything wrong. Acme Wichita.
That's
at gmail.com.
Okay.
See, you're smarter than me already.
Okay.
And there's, again, terms of service that we're going to read very, very carefully. And click Create Account. And they're asking us to do a CAPTCHA as well. All right. Now
that's all there is to it?
Well, now it's going to suggest some sources and help us walk through.
But basically, you put in your name, your email address, a password, and done.
Right, that's it.
Wow, okay.
So I'm going to say that I'm interested in business. We'll follow Planet Money and Motley Fool here just to have somebody that we followed. It's going to suggest lots of others. We can look in lots of different areas.
Okay.
Go to Next Step Friends.
And you can unfollow, defollow, if you want to?
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to look for people in my address book on Gmail to see if they also have accounts on Twitter. Now, it'll also look in Yahoo and AOL. We're going to skip over that. And
so it'll actually go into your address book and say, here are your friends that have Twitter accounts. Would you like to follow them?
And here, if I just happen to know the name of somebody I'd like to follow, their Twitter, I can just look for them there, do a search for them there as well. But once I've decided to look at that, I can just be done. And as soon as this loads, I'll have my Twitter account, and I'll be able to put in my first post. So Acme Wichita is live and kicking. And there, I've made my first tweet. Now there's a whole lot more to it that we can explore later on. There's, putting in pictures and your background image and stuff like that. But really, at its core, that's what Twitter's all about.
Okay, and as we walk through this sequence, we talked about why you need a website. Got the domain name. Now we've set up a Twitter account with the username that matches our domain name.
Right. So
as we dig into Twitter and say, okay, now how do you really do it? It's going to be linked back to our business site. Right. Okay. Right. So next time, what are we going to do?
Well, first, before we talk about next time, I want to recommend a book called Twitter Power.
Oh, yes.
If you're really interested in exploring what you can do in Twitter in a lot more depth than what we're doing now, Twitter Power is a great resource for that, and you'll find a link to that here on the page.
Yeah, with a review of the book.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
So next time we'll take a look at Facebook.
Okay, and again, we're just setting it up, getting that account going.
Just getting started, just scratching the surface.
Okay, and I don't have to panic yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll let you know when it's time to panic.
Okay, we'll panic next time. See you then.